So this is going to be another movie review. This one's called Quills. This is a 2000 art house type movie that has a lot of mainstream actors in it. Geoffrey Rush, Kate Winslet, Joaquin Phoenix. I don't even know who the fuck these people are. I've never seen their movies before. Although what did turn me on to this film was watching it on cable back in 2005. I remember catching the last 10 minutes or so, the, the infamous tongue removal scene. And I remember that scene so vividly. A few years later, I put it on my Netflix queue, and I finally made it to number one. Uh, I don't know when I put it on my Netflix queue, maybe 2008, something like that. Um, or maybe later, 2009, 2010, who knows. But I forget. Anyway, this movie kicks ass. It was way more than what I expected. Um, I can get into the story, but the plot is so intricate and complex, dealing with issues like religion, uh, how to treat disabled people. The French, you've got the Reign of Terror, 1794, Robespierre, off with their heads kind of thing with the so-called aristocratic class. France was a mess. It's always been a mess. And it's fascinating to see how degenerates behave. But this one got three Academy Award nominees. Best Actor, Geoffrey Rush, Best Costume Design, and Best Art Direction. And naturally, this being an art house film, uh, the Academy didn't award any of these nominees. Um, so it figures. I mean, this was kind of out of the mainstream. Bizarre flick, way bizarre. Um, I have to agree, the costumes and the cinematography are just outstanding in this. Um, so I finally got around to checking out the whole thing. It runs 2 hours and 4 minutes. Hell, it could have ran 3 hours, and I would have loved it even more. But yeah, it starts out with some aristocrat lady getting the guillotine treatment. And it's funny because the executioner ends up in the insane asylum, which is pretty much 95% of the movie. It takes place in this uh, sanitarium, and it's a so-called progressive sanitarium because the abbey, or the priest who's running it, played by Joaquin Phoenix, is I didn't know Joaquin Phoenix was a vegan. I didn't even know who the hell this guy was, but he's a good actor. I'll give him credit for that. Um, so he's running this sanitarium where the former executioner is housed. Uh, so fast forward to 1810, about 16 years later, Napoleon Bonaparte is the dictator of France, and Napoleon likes to burn books, especially prurient uh, pornographic novels like the stuff that the Marquis de Sade writes, and so the majority of the movie centers around the Marquis de Sade and this sanitarium where he's staying. Um, this this flick isn't historically accurate, by the way. For instance, they say that his wife is a religious nut, which is true, but she wasn't the one who locked him up in the sanitarium. It was her mother who did that. So that part isn't true, and a lot of stuff is just made up, kind of like watching Caligula or some kind of biography on Caligula. Um, so there's that. It's still a great story though. Initially it became a play, I guess, and then the screenplay became a movie, which is cool. I would have liked to have seen the play too. Um, yeah, so all these disabled people, invalids, uh, mentally disabled and physically disabled, I guess you could say, are staying with this progressive priest played by Joaquin Phoenix. I found it ironic that he was a vegan, kind of kind of match his way of running things at this sanitarium place. I forget the name of the place, but anyway, so the Marquis de Sade is locked up in this dungeon. Um, this movie kind of reminded me of Horrors of the Black Museum meets Freaks. That's what it's like. There's not that much sex in it. There's a lot of nudity though, including full frontal male nudity. Um, I guess that's why people are offended by it, but I didn't think it was that offensive. I thought it was a great um, story of Marquis de Sade and his chambermaid who is washing his linens. I guess she's 17 in this one, and she's pretty much responsible for publishing his book Justine because she's hiding all of his written work in the linens and then selling it to a publisher. And of course, it sells like hot fires. It's completely sold out. Justine, written by Anonymous, which is actually the name of the book that he wrote under an anonymous name. So that part was true, I guess. But Napoleon gets a hold of this novel, and he wants the Marquis de Sade shot. Um, and he throws the book in the fireplace like book burner, dude. So yeah, that gives you an idea of the crazed mind of Napoleon, who thought Marquis de Sade was crazy, but he was the one who was crazy, ironically. Um, so this priest dude pretty much lets the patients paint and do activities, kind of like a normal sanitarium, modern sanitarium. Um, but then Napoleon tells some crazy doctor who uses leeches and Dick Cheney torture instruments um, on his patients uh, to go to the mausoleum and pretty much to take it over. So Marquis de Sade is kind of reduced to being naked in chains. Eventually he gets his tongue cut off, like I said, and he still manages to write stuff. I mean, he uses blood to write on his clothes. He uses poop to write on the walls, which probably stuck in my mind back in 2005 when it was on A&E or Classic Movie Channel or whatever channel it was on when I was flipping through the channels while watching baseball or something. Um, yeah, so yeah, that scene in the dungeon with the rats and the poop and the chopped off tongue, that kind of stuck out in my mind. It was all made up, of course, but very dramatic. And there's the pyromaniac in the asylum too. Um, he sets fire to the asylum while while the Marquis de Sade is attempting to I guess voice his newest novel through the holes in the walls on the cells that they're in. Um, the torture devices kind of look like Dick Cheney basement, or maybe something like Horrors of the Black Museum, or what was that other? movie. I can't think of the name of it. Bloody Pit of Horror. Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. But so gradually the patients start getting tortured. The chambermaid, played by Kate Winslet, uh, gets whipped, and she ends up getting raped to death by the executioner dude. Um, Meanwhile, the priest is in love with the chambermaid. He's like hiding his emotions all this time, but he's like secretly in love with her, and that was kind of interesting. After she dies, he has a necromania dream. So this movie is pretty nuts. I mean that in a good way. And yeah, so there's a plot twist ending, kind of cool. Michael Caine, the torturous, deranged doctor, he ends up selling Desaad books on the side because his sanitarium isn't that he took over it isn't making any more money anymore. Um, so that's getting pretty much up close to the last 2 minutes. So I'm not going to spoil the end because it is a good ending. It's kind of a surprise ending, but yeah, great movie all around. I gave it 5 stars on Netflix, and what else can I say about it? Trying to think. Uh, there's so many good things about it. I guess I'll cut it off since I've said enough already. And yeah, it's on. I'll post the trailer for you in the description box later.